Si se puede was the chant used by the United Farm Workers, founded by Cesar Chavez, and it means, yes we can. So, who was Cesar Chavez? Cesar Chavez was born into a migrant family in Yuma, Arizona in 1927. While Cesar Chavez was in Arizona, he went to school and helped out at his family's farm. But in 1939, he and his family moved to California after they lost their farm due to the Great Depression. When Cesar Chavez was in California, he dropped out of school in 8th grade to go work in the fields as a laborer. He did this to provide some money for his poor family. After 14 years of farm labor, Chavez experienced many hardships and injustices. Some of these hardships were not getting enough pay, terrible working conditions, and racism towards Mexican Americans. After his working years, in 1952, Chavez joined a Latino civil rights group in California, and by 1958 he was its national director. He then left the group in 1962 to form the National Farm Workers Association, which was later renamed to the United Farm Workers. The United Farm Workers was a union where Chavez and a bunch of farmers would protest by doing boycotts and strikes to get justice. They used non-violent tactics because Chavez knew that it was the most powerful way to fight for justice.
We've adopted a method of non-violence. We expect violence against us. This is, if we're effective, there's going to be that violence, but we're not going to let that deter us. We have to suffer and we have to do the best we can with it, but we have a commitment to freeing those workers who are literally slaves under the growers and the teamsters. We have a right and an obligation and a commitment to see that justice be done and that the workers have their own union, their own democratic union, that they decide which union they want, that we're committed to that.
The biggest strike that Chavez did was the Delano grape strike, which lasted for 5 years. The United Farm Workers went on the strike to protest poor wages and poor working conditions. Many people supported them, including people who weren't from the Central Valley. This is because Chavez sent people to the big cities to advocate for the farmers. And no one before this had ever created a successful union or strike, so people almost gave up multiple times during the strike. But because of Chavez's perseverance, the strike was a success and the grape growers signed the union contracts, which gave workers better pay and better working conditions. During these protests, they created the slogan Si se puede, which means yes we can in Spanish. This phrase was used to encourage people to keep fighting for justice and to never give up. Because of this, Chavez and the United Farm Workers were able to pull off many more successful boycotts and strikes, causing farmers to get increased wages and better working conditions. The United Farm Workers still exist today and are one of the biggest labor unions for migrant workers. They ensure that migrant workers have livable wages and have good working conditions. Today, some states also celebrate Cesar Chavez Day on March 31st in honor of all the work that he did.